What is good, friends, and welcome back. Update 14 will bring us a new bistro officer. Her name is Catseye. She's a tank specialist from the Liberty Camp, and she has some particular sets of skill. In that video, we will analyze her skill one by one, determine which skill is best for training. We will see her in action in a testing phase, and then you will hear my comments if she's worth your money, since she's a lounge officer and she costs money. She's not cheap, she's quite expensive, but is she worth your hard-earned money? Stay tuned and let's go. Ooh, Elena, also known as Catseye, because Catwoman is probably copyright. Regardless, let's switch to her awakened portrait where she is robbing a master plan from the enemy. She wears the field and attack tag. Among her skills, we have one balance and two special skills. Let's start with her tactical skill called Chain Impact. Deals skill damage to a target enemy up to 2000 damage coefficient. The rest of the skill description is wrong as not being fixed by Lidit yet, so I will read you the correct skill description. When in a tank or helicopter, troop also deals extra area of effect damage, also known as the splash damage, to up to 4 other enemies within one map grid of the target, dealing 450 per target. That is quite a lot. It's not limited by anything compared to Lady Shadow. And you will see on the screen her tactical skill and effect. She throws some missiles. There's a red theme going on here, so I will slow down the footage so you can see her tactical skill animation in effect. When the splash damage takes effect, you will see her a mask on the screen telling you that she is dealing area of effect damage as well. So there you have it. It's pretty cool looking. Now, we're starting to see more and more officers dealing area of effect damage that are not artillery officers. We saw that with Lady Shadow. Now we see this with Catseye. And since Catseye is a lounge officer, we expect a more dramatic effect for this splash damage. So stay tuned for the test sequence to see that skill in action, and you'll be the best judge if that skill is lounge worthy. All right, the second skill, the passive one, it's a balance type called Finders Keepers. While in the field, increases normal attack boost by 30% and normal attack resilience by 3% for this officer's tank or helicopter troop. A pretty decent balance skill. I would consider that skill for skill training. Her second passive skill is special type called Master Thief. It's a universal skill. Increases the damage resist of this officer's troop by 15% and boosts the critical strike chance of this troop's normal attacks up and officer skill by 15%. I guess it's a good skill. Will not be my first pick for training. Her last passive skill called Feline Grace, also a special type and also universal. Whenever this officer's tank or helicopter troop enters a non-siege battle, it gains a shield for 4 seconds up to 800 shield coefficient, can trigger once every 45 seconds. The shield is immediately removed upon engaging an enemy base. That would be, I think, one of the best skill to start working on. However, it has some limitation. It's a special type. Okay, so you can only train the captain with this type of skill. Also, the shield doesn't last long, only 4 seconds every 45 seconds. That is kind of long, and you cannot stack this shield if you attack a base. It only works for field work. Yeah, I mean, maybe I spoke too soon. It could be a good skill. However, when you take time to analyze that, it's not that great. I mean, it's all right. Nothing more. I would stick with maybe the balance type, this skill right there, Finders Keepers, because the shield one have some limitation. Anyways, let's move on to her Awaken skill. All right, now for her last skill, the Awaken one called Perfect Heist. While in the field, whenever this officer's tank or helicopter troop deals normal attack or skill damage to an enemy ground force troop, it applies Seize, gaining 4% damage intensity and 4% damage resist from the target for 10 seconds. Can stack up to 5 times. So you gain a 20% damage resist and 20% damage intensity. That is the first part of it at full stack. Now the Seize, what is the Seize description? Reduce an enemy stat and grants an equal amount to your troop. So how I understand this skill is you gain a 20% damage intensity and damage resist. On top of it, you will rob the enemy's attribute, the damage resist, and the damage intensity. That's how I understand it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I get. If the target have more than 50% better attributes than yours in damage intensity and damage resist, the amount of the stat Seize will be increased by 50%. So if you face a stronger enemy with more damage intensity and more damage resist, more than 50%, you will rob this amount increased by 50%. Not easy to understand. If I get this right, and correct me if I'm wrong, the 20% damage increase that you gain from this tactical skill is one part. The second part is the attribute you seize from the enemy. And if you face a stronger enemy, you seize more attribute. And on paper, that skill looks amazing. We're going to see on the field if that is the truth. So stay tuned.
Commander, units are ready.
All right, friends, what do we think about Catseye? First of all, let's talk about the testing phase. I tried basically all the most popular officer pairing against Desert Jaeger and Steel Phoenix. That was the benchmark. And I kept three officers pairing that were the most successful. The first one being Catseye with Desert Jaeger, the second one with Amaker, but the best pairing by far was Catseye and Gridlock Architect. That pairing did not deal the most amount of damage, but I had the least amount of losses with Gridlock Architect thanks to her strong shield. So if you consider Awakened Catseye because you're a cat lover, then Gridlock Architect will be the best pairing. Now, should you awaken Catseye? That is the question. I can tell you right away that I will pass on it. Even though I said earlier that I will awaken her, that was before testing her. On paper, she looks decent. However, on the field, the most disappointing feature about Catseye was the splash damage. I set the benchmark with Lady Shadow and I said to myself, well, maybe Lady Shadow was lacking a little bit of punch to her splash damage. So Catseye being a lounge officer will be an improved version, right? I was wrong. It barely killed anyone. It didn't kill anyone with her splash damage. Only damaged a little bit the units, not to the point of killing one. So I don't know. I expect a way better performance from Catseye. That was my first disappointment. Her skills are decent. The shield skill could be a skill to consider for training. However, it has too many limitations. The shield is weak. It doesn't last long, and it takes 45 seconds to cycle. So all in all, I'm not going to awaken her. I may not even awaken one skill. I will bypass her. I will wait for another officer in the next future. Maybe the Navy one will be worth awakening. I don't know. But so far, Catseye, huge disappointment. So if you want my advice, keep your money. Unless you're made out of money and you don't care, by all means, go for it. Okay. But if you're looking for that new officer that could be a game changer, I would look for somebody else. Let me know in the comment section if you plan to awaken her, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. It will help other commanders reach out to this content. Until then, friends, thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. See ya.